Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News. Happy Friday to everyone out there. Okay, fair warning. I am not crying. My eyes are bloodshot. I'm recording this video at 4 a.m. East Coast time as I actually have to catch a flight and head back west this evening. I've enjoyed some time with my family. It's been fantastic. Just absolutely great to get some home cooking and keep my family updated on all the doings. And you guys are essentially family out here. So we have to share with you what's going on. I received information from my lawyer that I was going to be, attached to some, injunction against harassment, which is like a protection order case where the Jane Doe from the Clayton paternity scandal wants me to take down my content, wants me to stop talking about her, wants me to do all these different things. Well, it's in the court system officially. I was told this last week, actually, by my lawyer, but I had not received any of the documents. Now, a good Samaritan, and I never asked my lawyer to send this to me, but a good Samaritan out there found the documents and sent me everything I'm accused of, including wild things like revenge porn and harassing her mother and all this other stuff. Now, I'm going to continue to refuse to say Jane Doe's name. She's petitioned to the court to have her name changed. We're not going to say her old name, her new name. Nobody's name's getting said. We don't want to shame her, make her feel bad, or worry about her mental health. But I have to worry about my own mental health. I have to protect my family. I have to, do all these different things, because I've reported on this story. So I'm going to read for you, and maybe I'll respond to some of her allegations, but some of them I'm going to have to wait to respond till I'm in court, because why give away my hand when we have a stacked folder full of evidence supporting my right to cover this story as I have been. All right, so let's jump into it. Several different documents. I'm going to share this document, which is the document request for civil harassment restraining orders. Again, redacted all of her information. And then I'm going to share this document, which is the court's denial of the temporary restraining order, which doesn't mean too much, but it's a small victory for us in the process. So let's get into it. This was filed on November 1st, my half birthday, yay. And here it is. The person seeking the protection is redacted here. And then there's me, old David Neal, my legal name, 38 years young. And it looks like an additional protected person is a female that probably is Jane Doe's mom, although I didn't recognize the name because I've never said their names. So I was like, who's that? Oh, interesting. She's joined the party. All right. So anyway, this part was struck out. Mr. Neal has mentioned my mother on YouTube, Patreon, and on his podcast several times, and has said he is looking into her involvement in my current pregnancy with Clayton Eckert's twins, which is not only senseless and intrusive, but she is a private citizen and, a respected journalist or whatever the hell she said there, who wants nothing to do with Mr. Neal. I can assure Jane Doe I also want nothing to do with her mom. Okay, I already have a great mom. All of the audience are basically moms to me, so all set on the mom front. Relationship of parties. How do you know the person? She checked this box. Check here if there is not enough space for your answer, and then below she left an answer. We'll get to the full answer in a minute. David Neal is a popular YouTuber and podcaster who has spread false information about me. Venue, the person lives in this country. Yes, I was harassed by this person in this country. Yes, I live in Arizona, but I'm being cyber bullied by Mr. Neal, who lives in Los Angeles. So again, a person whose name I've never mentioned is accusing me of cyber bullying them. Other court cases, has this person named in number 3 been involved in any court cases with this person? No was the answer there, so nothing else there. Are there now any protective or restraining orders in effect related to you or any of the persons in 3 and the person in 2? No. Who else was there? This was the description of harassment. Harassment means violence or threats of violence against you, or a course of conduct that seriously alarmed, annoyed, or harassed you and caused you substantial emotional distress. A course of conduct is more than one act. So in this case, it's my opinion that, of course I have not committed any violence or threats of violence to her. I've never met her before, but she said tens of thousands of people who who are his fans on YouTube of his podcast and who are actively involved in Reddit. So apparently I'm now responsible for the internet. If you're on the internet, you're a fan of mine and you are attacking this person. And I remind everybody to not send them messages, to not harass them, and them being this person whose name I've never said, but that's the accusation. How did the person harass you? Check here if there's not enough space, so we'll get to that. See attached. Did the person use or threaten to use a gun or any other weapon? No. Okay, good. We got that solved. Were you harmed or injured because of the harassment? Yes. I have experienced, something in the lines of suicidal ideation due to the helplessness I feel in regards to Mr. Neal spreading misinformation about my reproductive history. Despite providing him with undeniable proof of my prior pregnancies, he has refused to believe it and has continued to create content alleging that I have faked pregnancies, which is untrue and proven by the medical records I provided him with. I have received messages that have made me have depression, anxiety, and sleepless nights. Boy, did I have a sleepless night last night. I hear her. I can agree with her on that one. Did the police come? She said no. And then let's go to the next one here. Has the person harassed you at other times? No, this only started when I became pregnant with Clayton Eckerd's twins. Mr. Neal's content is all about the TV show The Bachelor, and Mr. Eckerd was the star of the show. I have to remind you guys, I hate people that say I'm an empath or whatever, but I truly do feel for her here. I truly do. If it weren't for the fact that I'm trying to be as authentic as possible and get out the truth as I see it, I probably would have stopped if it was just about her mental health, but she's affecting the mental health of so many other people here. And if I'm presented with any evidence that I believe she's pregnant, I'll change my tunes. I mean, sure, her belly looks like she might be pregnant. Sure, we haven't seen any evidence that she's pregnant with Clayton's kids, and all that jazz. So given the chance to change my mind, I will be the first to go on here and change my mind if I see that evidence. But the evidence she has sent me, I've shared with you, and it just doesn't pass my sniff test. Personal conduct orders. I asked the court to order the person, me, not to do any of the following things to me or to any persons to be listed in 3. Harass, intimidate, molest, attack, strike, stalk, threaten, assault, sexually or otherwise hit, abuse, destroy property of, or disturb the peace of the person. I vow to not do any of that. Contact the person. She's only ever reached out to me. And people said, Dave, you should get an order of her, an injunction against harassment on her. And maybe I will. Maybe I'll get a cross restraining order. Contact the. I don't intend to use the court system. I think I'm okay, but I'm not sure if it ever escalates and I feel alarmed. Maybe I'll have to get the court involved. So don't contact the person either directly or indirectly in any way, including but not limited to in person, by telephone, in writing, by public or private email, by mail. So I have no intention of contacting her. Here's where it gets fun. Stay away orders. I asked the court to order the person, me, to stay at least 100 yards away from me. Me, the other person's listed, her mom, I assume, her home, her vehicle. Objection, Your Honor. I'd like to stay 1,000,000 yards away from her. She wants me to stay 100 yards away from her. Please, let me know where she is so I can stay even farther away from her. I want nothing to do with her, ever. Firearms. Does the person possess a firearm? She said, I don't know. If the judge grants a protective order against me, I will be prohibited from owning, possessing, purchasing, receiving, or attempting to purchase or receive firearms, guns, ammunition while the protective order is in effect. The person will also be ordered to turn into law enforcement or sell to a store with a licensed gun dealer any firearms and firearm parts within their immediate possessions or control. So essentially, I will lose one of my rights as an American citizen if I'm found to be violating this, or if I'm found to, if I lose the case for the order of protection. Temporary restraining order. Jane Doe requests that a temporary restraining order be issued against me. That's called a TRO, temporary restraining order, to last until the hearing. I am presenting Form CH-110 in temporary restraining order for the court's signature with this request. Has the person, me, been told that you are going to go to court to seek a temporary restraining order against him? Yes. Request to give less than 5 days notice of hearing. This is what's interesting. So you must have your papers personally served on the person at least 5 days prior to the hearing, unless the court orders a shorter time for service. So in her request, she wanted an immediate restraining order placed against me with less than 5 days notice. I guess that's because she fears of some form of violence, harassment, things like that. She said, Mr. Neal has been posting defamatory content against me multiple times daily, and I want it to stop immediately. He has been warned that if he does not stop making this content and defaming me in an effort to gain favor with Mr. Eckert, that I would be obtaining an order, yet it has not stopped him. It kind of feels like she went to thesaurus.com for some of these big words, but I am not trying to gain favor of Mr. Eckert. I have no reason to believe he's not telling the truth. No fee for filing service. She says there should be no filing fee because I've used or threatened to use violence against her, has stalked her, or has acted or spoken in some other way to make her reasonably fear violence. Does anybody reasonably fear violence from me? I've never put a hand on anybody. And the only hand I've put on my dog is to rub his belly. Like, I put a lot of hands on his belly. I miss my dog. I can't wait to see him. The sheriff or marshal should serve me the orders for free because her request for orders is based on unlawful violence, a credible threat of violence, or stalking. So I guess she thinks I'm stalking her because there's no way she thinks I'm committing any violence. I'm a pacifist, folks. I'm all about love. I know it's hard for her to believe, but I'm all about love. So then we go to the part where her lawyers would sign it, but she doesn't have any so far for this case. She did this herself. And then here's her attachment, which I'm just going to read for you. And then we'll go to the court denying it. Again, if you enjoy this type of stuff, I don't mean enjoying like a morose way, like you love seeing this, but I think sadly, you see this and maybe you're a fan of the show or whatever, and you're like, why are we dealing with this? And I understand. It's my last day visiting my family here. Do I need to be doing this? Well, I'm just trying to keep you guys updated. David Neal runs a popular YouTube channel and has posted more than 20 videos defaming me. He has purported to have information related to my current and prior pregnancies that is false. His sources are two men who I have restraining orders against and who see Mr. Neal as a resource for them to get justice against me. As a result of his content, I have received hundreds of harassing, threatening, and intimidating comments from his fans on his channel and his Reddit supporters, as have my family on their social media pages. He has incited them to rally against me for no reason. The issue at hand is a paternity case between me, a 33-year-old woman, and Clayton Eckert, a 33-year-old man. There is nothing scandalous about it, but Mr. Neal is inciting his fans to believe there is. It is in my belief that this is the most scandalous news story of the year, if not ever, in Bachelor Nation. That's how I see it right now. It involves, crazy, you guys know this, come on. So for her to say, no, nothing to see here. Well, I mean, am I just an idiot? She said, I am a popular self-help podcaster, and since Mr. Neal began his smear campaign, it has received dozens of negative reviews, all citing the false information he has spread about me. Luckily, Apple Podcasts agreed to remove it because these reviews were clearly unrelated to the podcast and its content. I'm also a domestic violence advocate and TEDx speaker on the topic. After being the most watched American TEDx talk when it was released, and after having only positive reviews, Mr. Neal's fans went onto YouTube and posted such negative reviews that I had to ask Ted to turn off commenting, which they did since they were personal attacks and not based on the speech. I have attempted countless times to get Mr. Neal to stop the cyberbullying and cyber harassment. He agreed to take down 18 videos, but then continued posting daily content with the same information. He has also continued to say that he will repost the 18 videos that he took down. He has claimed to cover this paternity case objectively, while also claiming that the purpose of his content is to vindicate Clayton, and he even started a GoFundMe so that Mr. Eckert could get legal representation. Needless to say, he has not taken into account the evidence I have provided him to prove that I am pregnant in my explanation as to why no one else other than Mr. Eckert could be the father. It'd be very, so it's kind of like, but Dad, he's not being objective. And it's like, well, we are a YouTube commentary channel. I've made my opinion known based on the evidence I've seen, and I'm willing to change that based on new evidence, none of which she has provided other than very shoddy. I mean, look, we've seen the evidence. You guys get the point, right? We've listened to all the court cases, and like she's provided receipts that she went to a doctor. You know what I mean? It's just not enough. He has done so far as to insinuate that so now she's upset that I insinuated that she intercepted a blood sample in Tennessee that I had given for prenatal paternity testing in Arizona, when in reality the sample was stuck due to weather issues. So she's what? I mean, what is she, 6 months pregnant or whatever, and she's, hasn't been able to take her end to the paternity test? That's not my problem, folks. The weather hasn't been bad every day. Get that dang test taken. She said, I obviously had no control over the mail. He has also claimed my mother is involved, although I'm not sure what he means by that. Mr. Neal, so then why is this in the documents? Mr. Neal has said that as a comedian, he is worried that I will come after him physically when I have never had any charge against me in my life, and I have certainly never threatened him. Well, I have to share my address all the time. Friday night, I've got a stand-up show in Los Angeles. Do I even promote the show? Do I need a process server to show up? Do I need somebody who's a fan of hers to, I think there's a reasonable fear for my own safety. In an effort to prove that I was pregnant and get him to stop posting defamatory content, I sent Mr. Neal a photo of me showing my pregnant stomach. Rather than take this into account objectively, he posted it on his YouTube channel and analyzed it. This meets the standard for revenge porn. And I would object to that. The photo she sent me was also on her public Dropbox and still is, which she sent to Reddit, which is a community of hundreds of thousands of people. She published these photos, guys. Mr. Neal has tens of thousands on his, and we have all that evidence. Mr. Neal has tens of thousands of followers on his various platforms, most of whom are on Reddit as well. I have received thousands of messages that the average person would be horrified at, as they are not only insulting and intimidating, but also threatening. He is aware of this, but he seems more motivated than ever to continue his smear campaign, as he is gaining followers and income from it. He is even asking his fans to contribute money so he can continue uncovering the truth in what is nothing more than a paternity case between two people in their 30s. As a result of Mr. Neal's conduct, I have experienced extreme anxiety, depression, and increased stress, which is the last thing I need while being pregnant with twins. It is not healthy for me nor for the babies. I have expressed to him that I have even felt suicidal as a result of cyberbullying and cyber harassment by him and his followers. Despite this, he has refused to stop. I am desperate for him to, so I am seeking an injunction against harassment as a last resort. All right, that's her attached conduct. Oh, there's more. I request that Mr. Neal is forbidden from posting information related to my current and/or prior pregnancies, which is related to my personal health. I've had 2 abortions that he has reported on as well that have caused me to be harassed. Did I? Have I? What are you talking about? I would request that he no longer report unverified information about me. And by that, I mean information provided to him by the 2 men I have protective orders against, Mr. Michael and Mr. Greg. I understand that Mr. Neal has First Amendment rights and that the line between protected speech and prohibited conduct is blurry. However, he has crossed several lines in regards to cyberbullying in California, such as cyber stalking, hate speech, and incitement to violence, defamation, invasion of privacy, revenge porn. I request that his content that violates the above be taken down immediately and that he not be allowed to post more of it that is also in violation. And also, don't forget the photos that I shared that she sent me where she didn't say, don't share this. I never posted anything that she said, don't share. She just sent me things to say, here's my proof. And we shared it. And of course, we never shared her face or her name. So anyway, here's the court denying her initial request. Now, it doesn't mean we're out of the woods here, okay? But just hang with me. Person seeking protection, her, and then there's me. Below, notice of court hearing denied. A court hearing is scheduled on the request for restraining orders against the person. And 2, the hearing date is November 27th, which I believe is the Monday after Thanksgiving. So while everyone is enjoying Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday, I will be grateful for the legal help I'm receiving, and I will be using that time and energy to make sure my case is airtight, as I believe it to be. Temporary restraining orders. Any orders granted on Form CH-110, temporary restraining orders for personal contact, and stay-away orders as requested, all denied until the court hearing. So then they're going to specify, the court does, the reason why they denied her attempt to get a temporary restraining order against me. Usually the TRO is to protect the person until there's a proper hearing. So a judge can take a look at the evidence, and I think it's very rare for them to deny it the way they did. Usually they take a look and they go, okay, you had this domestic issue. Here's a photo of you with a bruise. Full temporary restraining order. Put it this way, Cassie Randolph was able to get a temporary restraining order against Colton Underwood until they went to court, and of course they settled out of court. So anyway, this was denied, which means I did not lose any rights in the process. And they said the facts as stated in form do not sufficiently show acts of violence, threats of violence, or a course of conduct that seriously alarmed, annoyed, or harassed the person and caused substantial emotional distress. So this is where you start to regain a little bit of like belief in the court system. I've never been in the court system, so I've never had personal reason to not believe this, but you doubt it. You go, I don't know, is anyone going to believe me? Well, they looked at this, and this is what they said. The allegations in this petition are conclusory, not specific as to date, time, message, and potentially involved core First Amendment concerns. Restricting potentially protected speech without a hearing could constitute a prior restraint. A hearing will be necessary to ascertain if the communications are not protected, amount to harassment, cyberstalking, revenge porn, defamation, etc. So I'm not out of the woods, but they struck down this initial temporary restraining order. And so the idea that she would get at least, they checked this off, at least 5 days before the hearing, someone age 18 or older, not you or anyone to be protected, must personally serve a court's file-stamped copy of this form to the person, along with a copy of all the forms indicated below. I have not seen this yet. I'm sure if she's doing her due diligence, in which you could probably consider stalking me, she could find out that I'll be at Los Angeles International Airport today, sometime between 3 and 4 p.m. So what baggage claim will I be at? I'm not sure, but you can come find me. I'll be wearing this flannel shirt. You can serve me these orders if you so choose, or have someone serve me. So the court cannot make the restraining orders after the court hearing unless the person has been personally given a copy of your request into any temporary orders. And again, maybe she sent this to my lawyer. I honestly don't know. Please don't CC me. I don't need any more emails from her. I'm married. We're busy. Quit falling in love with me. I'm kidding, hopefully. Anyway, so they say you can bring other evidence and things like that. So anyway, there it is, folks. There's the denial of the temporary restraining order over grounds that she didn't provide any pertinent information to show where she actually had the duress. It's important to note that yesterday she also lost her injunction against harassment. And I could be wrong. It might have been called something else. But she was in court yesterday against Mr. Gregg, who she's been in court with for years, and she's officially done with him. It appears as though she may have filed a new harassment case against the lawyer for Gregg. I'm not sure who. It could be so there are ongoing and new court cases being filed, which brings us to the GoFundMe. Because sadly, I don't think we're going to be out of this anytime too soon. I'm going to practice as much detached optimism as possible. And, when you initially feel like someone's going to sue you or come after you or, do all these things, you get very nervous. And then I got a lawyer and I understood, oh, this is frivolous. And we've talked to almost hundreds of lawyers at this point. So many lawyers and legal experts have contacted us from reputable law firms across the country and internationally. So many people are watching this small case from the privacy of their DMs, and some offering advice, some offering guidance, support, because they see this as a frivolous lawsuit that has no chance in hell of winning. Now, I don't know that. I don't know what's going to happen here. To be quite honest, if the court did, grant her an injunction against harassment, a part of me, sadly, would feel relieved to not have to deal with her anymore. But I don't believe that's the right thing to do. I believe the right thing is to continue pressing on this issue, on this story, and not letting her silence people. So this was a post a few days ago from what you could call a hater of mine. More self-victimization, shaming this sub's commenters, and grifting. And that is because I made a video saying, did I ask for this? Now, I didn't shame any commenters from the Bachelor subreddit there. I responded to comments from Bachelor Nation, which is a subreddit of, 45,000 people that has let me plead my case. The Bachelor subreddit of 299,000 people has banned me, not for this issue, but they have banned me. So I couldn't respond to this if I wanted to. 103 comments, 0 upvotes, which means enough people are downvoting this hateful title because they understand the true story here, which is that I'm not making any money on this that I wouldn't be making covering The Bachelor in general. The monetization of my YouTube channel can't be used against me when I'm being attacked through the court system to silence me from covering this story. I guess Jane Doe's big thing was, well, he's not being fair because he doesn't agree with me. It's like if your parent sided with your other sibling after a fight and you go, you're not being fair. You're putting me in timeout, not the other person. And then your parent's like, well, that's because we think you created a fake pregnancy. You know what I mean? So anyway, here's the GoFundMe. It's my goal today to raise this GoFundMe up to $10,000. If anyone has the funds and wants to donate, we welcome your donations. If you don't, by all means, take care of yourself. I'm going to be okay. I can cover the rest of what I'll need for my legal bills. It's going to be all right. To those that have supported me, it's been miraculous to see the people come together. Now, those that are watching this court case play out from afar, the haters that go, I haven't even watched his videos. I'm sure he's making a mockery of it. And I guess maybe they're not even listening to this video, but I didn't ask for this. And to those that said, well, you did ask for it because you covered it. My response to that is, focus your attention on the people that aren't covering this case. Are they not covering it because it's not interesting? Or are they not covering it because she has systematically and surgically DM'd every single person that has covered it to say, I will sue you, you're sharing my medical records, you don't have this, you're defaming me. And the truth is, everybody else, other than like Reality Steve and a few others, has been bullied into silence. They're watching like the rest of you with popcorn from the comfort of their homes and the safety of their anonymous being in watching me fight this battle, what feels like alone on the battlefield here. And that's okay. I've learned a lot about the human dynamic, and I've learned that the Bachelor community is not a sports team that everybody has each other's back. The Bachelor community, alumni, content creators, fans, and all that, for the most part, is just a group of people, and everyone's going to look out for themselves first. And I understand that. I'll have to overcome my own bitterness that there isn't a greater defense of me from a ton of alumni publicly. I mean, would it have been nice if all the alumni, even the ones I didn't like, said, oh, Dave's been maybe mean to me, or Dave's called me out for this or that, but he's been a fair guy and we all stand by him. Would that have been nice? Yeah. Are we going to get that? I guess not. But that's okay. Everyone's out for themselves. It's a community built on people that wanted to be on reality TV shows. So there's probably a higher percentage of people that are just trying to take care of themselves. In taking care of myself and in taking care of my family, I have to go on the offensive here. And by on the offensive, I mean I've got to pursue this as publicly as possible. I need to let anybody and everybody know what is going on, and I will continue to share all means necessary of this process as it plays out. I'll probably end up buying a big pizza party for everybody who comes to the courthouse. And I don't want people to go in there to harass Jane Doe, although my assumption is that she will be Skyping in. I don't imagine she'll be traveling to Los Angeles. But if Jane Doe wants to come out to pizza after, we'd be glad to give her some pizza. I don't expect that will be the case, but we'll see how this all plays out. I wanted to share this with you because a lot of people wondered, oh, Dave's been raising money for this GoFundMe, and he hasn't even been served paperwork or not. Again, it's still a little murky as to whether or not I was served these papers, but they exist. I am being dragged into this process. And for those that say, oh, it's not that big of a deal, it's just a simple court case, you'll show up in X, Y, and Z. Tell that to the guys that have spent countless years with the court system in the back of their head because they've had to deal with Jane Doe. Sadly, we are now attached to this very small and yet very exhausted group of people that have had to deal with her in the court system. All right, folks, more content coming your way right after this. On today's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast, I'm going to be answering your questions that you asked me on Instagram. There's a lot of good ones. It's going to be a very personal episode. We'll see you over there. Thank you again for all of your support.